What makes Superman's suit so iconic? Why does this simple mix of blue, red, and yellow still feel fresh no matter how many times we've seen it? Because it's more than just a costume. The Superman suit tells you everything before he even speaks. It shows us what he stands for, which is hope, strength, kindness, and everything that makes Superman work. Across every era, every reboot, every actor, that suit is the first impression. And when it's done right, it hits hard. And here's the real challenge. How do you distill an idea as big and pure as Superman into a visual costume that works well in live action? Across decades, studios have tried. Some got close, some missed the mark by far, some tried to reinvent, others paid homage, and a few stumbled into something accidentally brilliant. So today we are going on a journey through time, ranking every major live-action Superman suit to see how they work and their emotional connection to the audience. Now, before we jump into the main event, I think honorable mentions is in order. There are, after all, a lot of Superman suits out there, some from brief appearances and some from really old TV shows and DC projects, and some that were, well, better off staying in the closet. But here's the thing, for this video I'm only focusing on the major suits, the ones that actually got screen time, made an impression, and are recognized by a large number of fans. That means a lot of suits didn't make the cut, either because they are just not well known, too old, or because they straight up look like bootleg Halloween costumes. But hey, respect to those suits for trying, honorary salute, but let's be real, they weren't even in the same league as the big players we're about to talk about. Alright, let's get into it. We'll start with Dean Cain's suit in Lewis and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And let's not sugarcoat it, this suit was terrible. The 90s were an awkward time for superhero media. Lewis and Clark focused more on romantic subplots and office drama than saving the world. And the suit reflected that shift. The colors were washed out, the emblem looked horrible, and the fabric lacked any structure or gravitas. Cain had charisma as Clark Kent. I think that was one of the most noticeable features about his own portrayal of Clark Kent. He made the idea of a likable, down-to-earth Superman palatable. But the suit robbed him of presence. Like, it had no mythos, no cinematic scale. It looked like cosplay on a budget. There was no texture, no feet that flattered, and zero weight to it. Superman should command attention the moment he appears, but this one just faded into the background. And number 9 for me goes for George Reeves' Adventures of Superman. George Reeves is a legend, and he brought a grounded, dependable version of Superman to the 1950s television screens. But we need to separate performance from presentation when it comes to talking about Superman's suit, because the suit, even accounting for the time period, was extremely limited. The materials looked more like thick wool than any Kryptonian thing. The colors were dull, maybe due to the black and white format, and the cape seemed like a theater prop. But here's what redeems it when it comes to the suit: sincerity. George Reeves' Superman had this neighborhood hero energy which worked back then very well, but visually the suit hasn't aged well. Compared to today's standard, it looks like Superman borrowed a costume from a community playhouse. Respect for its legacy? Absolutely. But impact in the modern era? Very much minimal. Which takes us to number 8, being Brandon Routh's Superman from Superman Returns back in 2006. This film was a direct spiritual sequel to Christopher Reeve's Superman, and Routh was perfectly casted. He channeled Reeve's warmth and nobility, but the suit itself just wasn't it. The emblem was oddly small and plasticky, and the muted maroon and navy color palette dulled the visual energy. The entire outfit looked more like a fashion experiment than a superhero uniform, and the overall vibe was just off. Instead of evoking the mythic hope of Superman, it leaned into something sterile. It didn't complement Routh's performance, it kind of distracted for it. You could feel it trying to balance modernity and nostalgia, and in doing so, it satisfied neither. And number 7 goes to Tyler Hoechlin's Superman from Supergirl 2016 and Superman and Lois. Hoechlin's Superman is a fan favorite for good reason. He brought a warmth and humility back to a character that felt missing in recent portrayals, but his suit was a mixed bag in so many ways. His debut on Supergirl gave us a great blend of comic accuracy and CW practicality. Although a lot of people do not like this suit, but I kinda do, though it does look like the Injustice Superman suit, but it was pretty good. I kind of liked how simple it was. The fabric was flexible, the colors were bright, and the tone was very optimistic. It felt like a good Superman suit. But then, the suit evolved, and not for the better. In Superman and Lois, the costume designers leaned hard into muscle padding. His newer suits became overstuffed, overdesigned, and frankly very cartoonish. The muscular nature it had didn't look natural, and the chest emblem grew into a bulky centerpiece. He looked like someone wearing a Superman mascot costume instead of embodying the Man of Steel. But still, there was one suit that I actually really liked, and that was the Golden Age inspired suit used in the flashbacks. That suit was charming, simple, and exactly what early Superman looked like. It was a loving homage to Superman's roots, especially with him lifting up that car. It was just fantastic.
Say that again?
Oakley's performance soared, and even if the suit choices were dragging him down, he was still a solid Superman. Number 6 goes to Henry Cavill's Man of Steel in 2013. Zack Snyder reimagined Superman as a displaced god, a godlike figure navigating a hostile world, and the suit reflected that vision way too well. Gone were the red trunks, in came intricate Kryptonian textures. This Superman suit was ancient, heavy with lore. The cape hung nicely, the emblem was bold, sharp, and stood out. And let's not forget one of his main purposes. The cape was just there to horrify him, to help him channel his energy and presence in a way that felt bigger than life, like a beacon of power and identity. But it wasn't inviting. The suit succeeded as a sci-fi artifact, but it failed as a symbol of hope. It made Superman feel foreign. It emphasized strength over compassion, fear over familiarity. Cavill looked powerful, that is no joke, but the suit stripped off the softness that makes Superman Superman. Which takes us to number 5, being another Henry Cavill suit from the Justice League back in 2017. And color correction made a huge difference here, because the same base design for Man of Steel was used, but the blue was more vibrant, the red had warmth, the overall presentation softened slightly, bringing Superman back towards the realm of inspiration. It was sculpted, still alien in nature, but Cavill felt a bit more human. It didn't reinvent the wheel, but it showed that sometimes tweaks matter. Which takes us to another Henry Cavill Superman suit, which I'll be putting at the number 4, being his black suit in Zack Snyder's Justice League back in 2021. This wasn't just a color swap, it was a resurrection. The black suit symbolized rebirth, which it always does in the comics, but Snyder added a little bit of grit to it, as it was also the representation of raw power, grief, and acceptance all rolled into one. The silver emblem glowed with aura, the cape hung like a shadow. Cavill looked like a god returned from death, but the symbolism came at a cost, as it kind of detached from how Superman is meant to be, but it worked for the story Zack Snyder was trying to tell. Which takes us to number 3, being the Kingdom Come suit by Brandon Routh in Crisis on Infinite Earth. Routh returned to the role with a maturity and sorrow that echoed Mark Waid's Kingdom Come comic, and the suit was glorious. The deeper red and blue tones added gravitas. The black emblem with a red background exuded solemn strength. This Superman had lost, had endured, but had not broken. His suit looked worn yet dignified. This suit gave Superman emotional depth. It told the story before he said a word. And Routh this time around didn't just look the part, he embodied the weight of what it means to be Superman. And I just love everything they did with this character here, it was brilliant. Which takes us to number 2, being David Corenswet Superman suit in James Gunn's DC universe. Now that we have seen the suit in full context thanks to photos and all the official footages and videos they have been dropping out and people actually seeing the movie, David Corenswet's Superman suit isn't just a redesign, it's a revival. I could have put it in number 1, but I just felt like, yeah, for now, it should just stay in number 2. Because the colors are vibrant without being too garish. A true return to the hopeful blue and red we associate with classic Superman. The trunks are back, and not as a gimmick or a joke, but as a confident restoration of iconography. The emblem is large, bright, and immediately striking. It's similar to the Kingdom Come Superman logo while having its own distinct modern cut. What really sets this suit apart is its texture and wear. You can see that it's been lived in. It doesn't shine like plastic or glow like alien tech. It creases, it folds, it tells a story. This is a Superman who's been in the field, who gets knocked down and gets back up again. It humanizes Superman in a way. The boots, the seams, the slightly more muscular build, everything about the suit feels designed not to impress but to reflect legacy and humility. It's a blend of cinematic skill and comic book tradition, rooted in a world where Superman is inspirational because he's familiar. And that's what makes it work. It's not trying too hard, it's not self-conscious, it trusts the material, the audience, and the symbol. Which leaves us to the final one, being Christopher Reeve's Superman from the movie 1978. This is the definitive Superman suit because he got everything right and never had to apologize for it. Sky blue spandex, scarlet trunks, yellow belt, that bold, hopeful S-crest. It wasn't afraid of color, it wasn't afraid of sincerity. It didn't try to be cool, it tried to be honest, and it worked because of Christopher Reeve. He brought poise, humility, and a quiet strength to his version of Superman. The suit echoed that sentiment at every turn. This suit wasn't armor, this wasn't stylized alien fabric, it was Superman. Unfiltered, no gimmicks, no tricks, just belief. What makes this suit one of the greatest isn't just that it was authentic to the comics, is that it trusted what worked. It didn't chase trends, it set tone. It showed us that you don't need to modernize Superman to make him relevant, you need to embrace him to make him timeless. The suit fit Reeve like a second skin because it was more than a costume, it was a message that in a cynical world, goodness can still fly. And that's what makes this suit so iconic, and it is the one Superman suit that was done right. So that is my ranking of the live action Superman suit. I know there are many I left out like Nicolas Cage or Smallville, but they weren't given proper screen time, just glimpses. Even if the glimpses from Nicolas Cage Superman was just from the Flash's PS2 CGI mess, and Smallville only showed a slight tease of the suit. It was mostly left to the fans' imagination since the suit wasn't the focus of the entire series. So, what about you? Which Superman suit lives rent-free in your head? Which Superman suit do you think is the best out of them all? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video in any way, drop a like or subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads or just to help grow the channel. Until then, I'm out.